Hey everybody, Pat Benage here, the evolution coach, creator of the 6-week shift and the inner path, and author of this inspirational blog, SoulTalk. And been talking about a variety of different things the last few weeks, but there's been kind of a theme. But I want to get back to something that I talked about, I don't know, 4 or 5 weeks ago, something like that, and kind of go into a little bit more depth about it. It's one of my personal issues that has hindered my progress in various areas of my life over the years. And, you know, in, of course, the bigger picture of things, nothing's really hindering me. It's just a matter of my time that I needed to take to realize and to understand more fully whatever it was that I was trying to do, trying to be. And so this particular thing has been a challenge for me, and in some ways it still continues to be a little bit. So I'll give you a little bit of a story here. So in my life, with my career particularly, my various careers that I've had over the last 35 years, almost 40 years, has been a lot of ups and downs. And those of you that have heard my story, I had in the course of 20 years, while I was growing more and more depressed, I had about a dozen different jobs in 20 years, and was continually going from one to another because of my not wanting to be in the job that I was in, thinking that there was something better, or because of the fact that I didn't like the job I was in. It became a choice of my boss to have me move on. So I've had a variety of experiences in that realm, and then also it's carried over into my coaching and my career as a life coach, in that it's been a challenge for me to overcome this and to sort of get things off the ground and create the coaching business that I have been on the path of, and really seen as my purpose, at least that's part of my purpose, for the last 15 years. And yet, for much of that time, I've said this to a few people, I've been kind of playing at it for a while, and it's had little fits and stops and starts, and there's been a variety of things that have contributed to that process, that delay, that hindrance. You know, some of it was, in the beginning, some unworthiness. Some of it was fear of failure. Some of it was just, you know, fear of disappointment. I had a lot of that. I carried a lot of that from childhood. Disappointments in my life, and so I really didn't want to experience more. And so I discovered maybe 5 years ago or 6 years ago that one of the things that was holding me up was I was sort of sabotaging myself by not putting 100% effort in, because if I didn't give 100% effort and it failed, then I could blame it on that. And it would lessen the disappointment of failure. But I've gotten through, pretty much all of that stuff over the course of the 15 years and the work that I've done personally on myself. But one area, and I talked about this, like I said, a few weeks ago, but one area that has been present and has created, not really a block, but like I say, a challenge in the manifestation of what it is that I want, has been an impatience. And that impatience is, in this particular case, and in a lot of cases, is a symptom of vanity. And like I said, I talked about vanity several weeks ago, but I wanted to get into it a little bit more about how that manifested for me, how that came about, and what it looks like from my point of view and in my experience. And I don't know if anybody else has had this similar experience, but I imagine that a lot of people have. And it creates this, vanity creates this impatience. It creates this idea that I don't have to, it's kind of troublesome, and I shouldn't have to do all these little detailed things to get what I want. I should be able to just have it. And I think a lot of people get that from, I've mentioned this before, a lot of the law of attraction stuff that says you just envision it and hold it in your focus, and it will manifest. And you don't have to do anything. You don't have to take any action necessarily, other than keep that focus and that vibration. And there's some truth to that, but there's also great benefit for putting together the foundation in order to create what it is that you want, the physical manifestation of that. And so vanity grabs a hold of that idea that I can just believe it with all my heart and it'll happen. And I don't have to do all the details, because I didn't like all the details. I didn't like to do all the minutiae, detail work to put everything in place and get it set up properly. And so when you don't do that, in whatever area of your life, I'm just using my business as one example, but in any area of your life, if you don't take the time, in your relationships, if you don't take the time to cultivate the little things, and spend time on the little things, then the rest of it will fall apart, if you ignore those things. And that's vanity. That's vanity. That's impatience. I want it now. It's our culture here in this Western culture, and more so across the world some now, but we want things now. We want it immediate. The internet has given us the ability to have quicker gratification of things, and we can, next day delivery kind of stuff, and online immediate kind of stuff, and so we want things quickly. We don't want to wait, and that's a symptom of vanity. So what's the solution? And I talked about this, the last time, is that humility is the antidote for vanity, and the reason is the two of those things are on this same continuum, this same spectrum. I've talked about this before in other areas, but it's a spectrum that runs from vanity, which if you take it to the extreme becomes arrogance, or maybe you have a better word, I don't know, but that's what came to me. And then you've got humility, which if you take it to the extreme, then you become self-effacing. You become almost self-destructive, because you overdo that humility thing. And so the the key, and this is the key with everything in life, is to find balance between the two. You know, you don't want to be so humble that you're denying your own strengths, your own power, your you know, what your gift is. You don't want to deny that, but you don't want to take it too far the other way and you know, make yourself out to be something you're not, something more than somebody else. You know, my gift is no more important than anybody else's gift. Everybody's is equal. They're different, but they're equal in value. And mine is simply, you know, one that I don't want to deny that and become, you know, overly humble. And I don't want to make it out to be more than it is and become arrogant and vain. So humility is the antidote to vanity, and that it just means that you have to swing it back toward the humble side. And you have to find that balance point. You don't swing it too far. Don't overcompensate. We have a tendency to do that. We overcompensate. We get too far one way, we swing it back the other way, and we go too far the other way. And we end up, like I say, we're on this pendulum that we just keep swinging back and forth, and we never can stop in the middle because we don't stop messing with it. You know, we don't stop messing with it, and you have to find that middle place and let it come to rest there. Let it come to rest there. Let that pendulum stop moving, because you're going to continue even once you set yourself into that balance point. When you set that intention, when you set your attention there, you're still going to have these moments when you get swings in one way or the other. And so this pendulum is still moving back and forth, and it's attempting to draw your attention back, and that's okay. That's going to happen. But don't just watch it. Just notice it. Just watch that in yourself and begin to see what is doing that. But don't try to pull it back. Don't try to push it away. Those things continue the process. That's why I say when you give your attention to something outside of yourself, you give it more energy. You create more of it. And we get stuck in this thought of manipulating all of this stuff outside, when the truth is we just have to find that balance point within ourselves, get balanced, and allow your experience out here, your outer experience, to settle into that balance point. And vanity triggers impatience, and then impatience causes us to mess with it. We get tired of waiting, and we mess with something, and it just gives it more energy and gives more swing to it, and then we start that whole process over again. So my thought today is that find that thing in your life, that area that is your present challenge, that you see as holding you back somehow in obtaining and attaining what it is that you want. In whatever area, can be any, you can pick one, you can pick a lot of them, but pick one at a time, and just see what it is. What is that thing that's holding you back? That's the challenge. And find your balance point in that. See what it is that's the opposite of that, or the counterbalance of that. So if you have vanity, like I said, vanity, it's one of the passions or diseases of the mind, and the antidote is humility. So you bring some humility in, and it draws you into the center. If it's attachment, then the antidote for that is detachment. So you're drawing yourself into the center. If it's anger, the antidote for that is forgiveness. And so as you forgive, it brings you back into that center point. And again, you can go too far on the forgiveness, you can go too far on the anger, but it's finding that middle ground. It's finding that middle ground. The others, it's you have greed and you have contentment. They balance each other out. So there's so many things that you can look at and just find that antidote, that counterbalance to whatever that is in your way. You've put it there, but it's in your way. And it's up to you to find the middle ground. Find the middle ground, and then patience will allow the life experience that you're having to find that point. That's why I say you change it from the inside out. And if you get that balance within, everything else will line up. It takes some time. It's not something that always happens immediate. In some cases it might, but a lot has to do with how much momentum you've given, how much energy you've given to whatever it is that you're trying to balance out now. And so think about that. Contemplate that. It's a powerful tool to bring you back to that middle ground, and life will line up with where you are. Always does. Always does. So I hope that's of benefit to you today. Thanks for joining again. Once again, if this is something that you found valuable to you, please share it. You can click on the link forward to a friend. You can share it on Facebook or Twitter or YouTube or wherever you want. You can sign up, get subscribed to my YouTube channel that have these videos. You get them a little earlier when you do that versus the email. Email comes out on Sunday. These I upload on Saturday to be ready to go out. So you can sign up for the RSS feed and get them that way too. So help me spread the word. And I appreciate you guys so much. And thanks for being here again. Remember, live life from the inside out, and we'll see you next week.